I went back to Neosho. Ralph took me back there 48 years later. And you know, the cafe was still there. It's now called Rosie's, and it was closed. But I looked in the window, and I could still see where the two tables were and where the booths were. I could still see it all. You know, the booths weren't there, but you could see where it was in the linoleum, you know, the pattern of the, I was on the floor. When I was working there, Jim's sister, Ruby Lynn, came and lived with us. And she worked at Riley's, but she was only 14, and she hated the job. You know, not everyone enjoys working in a restaurant, but I sure did. We went back to Arkansas after the war, and we lived with Carrie and Beale. Now, they had a kitchen, a front room, and a long room. Carrie and Beale and the piano used the front room as their bedroom. Of course, they had a bed there, too. Once I left my jacket on the piano, and later on I'm putting my arm in the sleeve of my jacket, and a mouse ran up my arm, and I'm screaming and yelling. And my father-in-law thought I was crazy. What's wrong with her? It's a mouse, for God's sakes. But I was still a northern girl living in a southern atmosphere. Jim and I had the long room as our bedroom. And with us in the long room, in our bedroom, was Ruby Lynn, Mary Alice, Albert, Becky, and Sidney. Boy, were we cozy. There was a deep, round well in the yard, water. And I was so afraid of having my baby crawling and falling in the well. I yelled at Jim. I made him. I said, you have to do it. I'm just walking down the road. I'm gone with the baby. Oh, and he told his father, we have to do this. What the heck's wrong with her? I've had this thing here for 50 years and not one kid ever fell in it. So anyway, I made Beale and Jim build a wall around the well and then build a cover for the well. Beale really thought I was crazy. He just had a fit. Oh, I tell you, there were so many differences between my background and Jim's background. And I was definitely a northerner who did not fit into the southern ways. I can fit in now because I'm older and I understand things, but not then. But still, you'll never be a southerner unless you was born a southerner. Jim's mother was the sweetest person in the world. I really loved Carrie then and still do now, and I know she loved me too. But Beale, my father-in-law, was a crabby sourpuss. He never smiled. All the kids that Jim's sisters and brothers still call me and email me and write me and come and visit and stop by and love me as I love them. And they tell me what a hard, mean person Beale was to live with. I never got the time of day from Beale, but Carrie and I laughed and sang all the time. In Clinton, then another place I worked. I worked for Uncle Joe and Aunt Johnny Wheelock. This is part of Carrie's relatives. And I worked at their bus station restaurant. But I didn't know I was working there till Jim came in and said, they need you to help over there. And I said, well, I can't help. I've got a baby. He says, I'll watch. And I worked. And my wages, I got no wages. I was working to pay for our room in the funeral parlor across the street. And if you want to live in a scary place, live in a funeral parlor with all those little tiny rooms with all the services. Now, they weren't using it anymore, you know. It was gone. But still, ay. Oh, so I had a lot of interesting things happen to me when I was young.